Long ago, when the world was bright and full of stories, an evil wizard gained the power to touch the face of God. Narrativa, goddess of stories and weaver of our world, banished him to the void, but not before he stole a piece of her divine essence. With this newfound power, the wizard lay a dread curse upon all the world, the Glyph Purge, which struck from the minds of all mortals the knowledge of how to read and write. Now, all that stand between the Isle of Meotia and an age of endless ignorance are the bards, who tell stories of distant lands, exotic creatures, and brave heroes. This is one such tale.
Hello and welcome to Challenge Rating Zero, the latest and greatest Dungeons & Dragons podcast to hit the internet airwaves. I am Sam, your Dungeon Master, and I am joined as always by my longtime friends and adventuring companions.
Hello, I'm Brian, and I play Hektor the Gatekeeper.
Hi, I'm Beth, and I play Rilla Longshadow.
Hey there, I'm Alex, and for tonight only, I'm special guest starring as Ruger Firehide.
And last but not least, we have the man who calls himself Michael, but who we call Parker. Michael Parker playing the druid Zurabak. Say hi, Parker.
Hi, Parker.
Fan-fucking-tastic. We are joined once again in this sacred covenant to tell a tale of epic fantasy.
I'm doing a little happy dance behind my microphone because we've been taking our summer vacation for like the last 4 weeks, and we're finally...
5.
Okay, 5, yes.
17.
22.
Brian's been counting the specific days. Yeah, I get it. It's been a while, but I'm just so very happy to be back at the table with y'all.
Who are you people again?
I'm delighted to get back to it as well. This may not make a lot of sense to the regular listeners of this show because of our fucking psychotic and incredibly inconsistent release schedule. I'd like to apologize for that. Sorry, guys. We're doing our best.
We're doing all right.
We had about 5 weeks where we did not record an episode of this show. And we're just now getting back to it. Had to do just a thorough re-examination of where we were. And hopefully none of us forget what happened in the last episode. But I can edit that out. So, or Matt will.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, Matt. We're back in the shit on some epic fantasy quest type stuff. I guess let's just get right into it. When last we left our heroes, Hektor, Rilla, Zurabak, and the lawman Ruger Firehide were making their way through the blighted landscape of the ancient and formerly verdant Springvale Forest, the home of the elves here on the Isle of Meotia, and more specifically the former home, of one Rilla Longshadow. They had done battle with swarms of terrible insects, giant demonic trees. They had slain a horde of pixies before finally making camp in a relatively peaceful corner of the forest, all on their way to the Martyr's Tree. They are accompanied in their journey by a retinue of elves that they picked up on their quest, while our heroes are following the footsteps of the stricken Anthony Geist in putting together the necessary components for his grand spell that they may themselves perform it and fix the world and end the Glyph Purge. The elves of the Springvale Forest have their own quest, namely Elder Willow, the, we'll just say, problematic leader of this retinue of elves, has been dead set.
He's a doo-doo head. He's a doo-doo head.
King Doo-Doo Head.
Yes. I think that's apt. Yeah, an absolute doo-doo head. Has been dead set on taking Rilla's youngest sister, Dara, to the center of the forest, to the Martyr's Tree, where she might be sacrificed in order to restore the veil, the protective magical field that keeps the forest safe from outsiders.
Not today, Dungeon Master. Not today.
The very last thing we did was had a very heartfelt and deep conversation between Rilla Longshadow, who all this time had been in an elaborate disguise that none might guess her true identity as she traveled through the Elven lands. She revealed herself, finally, to her younger sister, Dara, and through heartfelt conviction and quite a high diplomacy check, was able to convince her kid sister that this was not the path, that martyrdom was not the way, and that throwing her life away for these dicks was not the right thing to do. There was a tearful reunion between these siblings, separated at the very beginning of our quest. And the plans of Elder Willow seem to be on shaky footing. At the same time, Zurabak, not giving a shit about camps or hanging with people, was keeping track on events in the forest, using his druidic powers to spread his consciousness and keep tabs on the unnatural occurrences in the woods. He discovered there's an enormous horde of undead warriors between them and their ultimate goal of the Martyr's Tree in the heart of the forest. And he also made contact with another elf traipsing through the wood, Rilazon Arafin, the last living elven wizard, a fossil, still truckin', who was alive before the Glyph Purge even fell, and she was in council with the Stricken to pull off some crazy magic type stuff. But we're gonna start tonight.
Ooh, quick question.
What's up?
Can you clarify for me, is Rilla still in her disguise, or have we discarded the daughter personality?
I scrubbed it off my face. I'm probably still in the costume, the cloak, but like I as part of talking to Dara, I like wiped all that shit off.
So
Canonically speaking, yes, Rilla has removed her disguise.
okay, great.
So, we're going to start with Rilla, Ruger, and Hektor, who are in a camp with the contingent of 20 elven warriors and Elder Willow, as they bed down for tonight in preparation for tomorrow's final push to the Martyr's Tree. You are all encased in a powerful cloaking spell that was cast by the Stricken. Smoky black cube of magical energy that keeps prying eyes and ears from picking up what you're saying or doing. Dara is weeping in Rilla's arms, having just had this cathartic reunion with her older sister, and you all are watching, I guess. What's everybody doing right now?
I'm rolling a cigarette
Mm-hmm.
because I like to do that when I'm idling.
Hektor has like a single tear coming out of one eye and is just smiling and nodding as he watches these two sisters reunite.
Rilla, what are you doing?
Oh, I went right into parenting mode. I'm fussing over her outfit and like picking at her hair and shit, and like totally like I went right into mom mode. Like, what are you? Why is your hair like this? Like, who's last?
You were gonna
this is
get
ridiculous.
martyred in this outfit?
Yeah, like that sort of shit. Yeah. Just like immediately, like just right into like big sister lecture mode. Brush your hair. My
That
God.
is just so wholesome.
Yeah, Dara immediately switches to kid sister mode. She, flails at you with her hands, trying to get you to stop preening over. She says, Elder Willow said it was traditional elven hairstyles. He said it's from how our ancestors dressed. I don't know. I thought it looked cool.
Elder Rillo is an idiot, and you look stupid. Let's fix it.
All right, fine. Fix my hair, I guess. That's the important thing right now. Listen.
Ooh.
What are we gonna do? I'm with you. I can't go through with this sacrifice anymore. You're right. It doesn't make sense. There's bigger things going on, but I also just can't abandon the elves. And Elder Willow is terrifying. He's got a grip over these people's minds. What are we gonna do? He's sleeping right over there in his tent. There's 20 warriors who've sworn to him. I can't just waltz out there and say, hey, never mind, takesies backsies.
You might be able to. Honestly, we've been slowly working on unindoctrinating the warriors, and I believe right now Theraval is currently talking to the rest about how sacrificing a child isn't okay and that there's like other ways to go about this. that problem's probably taken care of. We've also promised the elves that while we try and fix all of this, that they can temporarily find shelter in Everspring. So we've been working on that.
Wow, Muscles. Okay, that's impressive. I knew you liked to talk. I didn't realize you all worked that fast. Okay, that's neat. What about you, Cowboy? Have you been structuring peace agreements with every faction on the island too?
No, ma'am. Not even a little bit.
Okay, great. So what is the plan? This nice little force field is impressive. It's a good bit of magic that the Stricken did. We gotta have a whole nother conversation about that, by the way, sis.
Oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's a puppy dog.
I kind of feel like the fact that Protoss chose me too, like, cancels it out. Maybe? Right?
I mean, you are a protagonist, I guess. But like, it's a bad look, sis. It's a bad look. You can understand that, right? It's a bad look. You're working with the Lord of the End, huh?
Most of the time we keep them in a sack.
Most of the time we keep him in prison, actually. The sacks for traveling. I mean, you were hanging out with the Elder, which is also a pretty bad look. And we're being his muscle, essentially, so that's pretty fucked up. Look, we'll figure it out. There's a lot going on. There's a theoretical plan. I don't know if it'll actually work, but it's something. Regardless, the forest is fucked. Like, even if we stop this, I don't think it's going to magically return to how it was. So yeah, I think short term, we're gonna have to be refugees, you know? But the city's great. There's plenty of space. There's weird, like, sea elves and a handful of elves that weren't in the forest when we closed it that have been, like, doing their own shit. So you'll live just fine, you know? But it's gonna be weird.
We do have some contacts in the city as well. Your sister's disguise wasn't entirely a fabrication. We do know College of Bards quite well as the very powerful seer. God, what is her fucking name? I'm so sorry.
The Diviner.
The Diviner. I knew it was
the
some big
Diviner.
obtuse like that.
She married your goddamn ex-wife. Come
And
on.
what an amazing wedding it was, you know? Listeners, if you skip that
Dara
episode,
says... Dara goes moon-eyed a little bit at that tirade, Rilla, and says, I didn't realize there were elves outside of the forest.
Yeah, I didn't know either until I left. There's kind of a lot going on outside of the forest. It's pretty cool.
Huh. Okay. Well, maybe that won't be the worst thing. But okay, so all right. So I'm not going to be sacrificed, and neither are you.
Right.
But you all still have to go into the heart of the forest, right? You're looking for a flower? What are you here for?
To save the world.
Yeah, we're making an artifact that requires incredibly specific and rare components. At the behest of the Stricken, which makes me deeply uncomfortable, but the Bards College thinks this is a good plan. Mm-hmm. So, we're giving it a try. And apparently the next thing we need is this flower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
To elaborate,
so
we are trying to recreate the very spell that the Stricken used to break the world, to unbreak it.
Oh boy, that's a whole lot, man. Oh, that's a lot. Listen, okay. All right, sure. It's big. That's pretty big.
It is a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it should also be mentioned that, you know, these guys ate part of a dragon once. We fought powerful enemies in the heart of a volcano. We've done some crazy shit, is my point. And
So what are you bragging?
I mean, it's a little bit.
Really,
of
is
a
this dude
flex.
bragging
I mean,
now? What are we doing? I shoot lightning bolts.
Small ones.
So
little, little
hey,
crackles.
They're adorable.
It's more like static electricity, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive for your age.
She gets some lightning crackling at the corner of her eyes. She says, "For my age." Luckily, the spell you're in kind of hems in that shriek.
What are you, like 80 or some shit?
I'm 93, sir. Okay.
I fucking flip an imaginary table. I just flip it.
I'm writing that age down right now so we don't forget.
You kick over a tea kettle that's over your campfire. And she says, okay, fine. So you have to go to the heart of the forest anyway to get a thing, whatever. What are we going to do right now? When the stricken spell ends, when this cube of smoke around us goes away, your disguise is gone. What do we do? Just walk into the elder's tent and say, hey, you're not in charge anymore? Because I don't think he's going to like that.
I mean, as much as I want to walk in there and shiv him in the side, I don't know. Does it really matter that much? We'll probably have a fight. It's not going to stop him from going. He's most likely just going to say, okay, we're going to use the original now. I could just go along with that, you know?
I mean, Elder Willow's a coward.
Yeah.
I think if we've turned his men against him and we've turned his sacrifice against him, I think he just doesn't have any options. At that point, he's not going to try and fight us because he knows that will not go well for him.
And it does beg the question. Obviously, when we came upon Greenleaf, the city was in dire straits, but I understand he's a cowardly man and perhaps very, very self-serving. But, has he done any outright crimes? I mean, he convinced you to die for a cause, but religious...
You mean besides torturing a child for, 80 years? Besides that?
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, he tortured my sister, so I'm just gonna go fuck him up right now. And Dara just turns and starts walking out of that cube, and we're gonna switch real quick to Zurabak. Zurabak, you're about 10 minutes walk outside of the camp. You are far from the firelight of the elves and the rest of your companions, shielded as they are by enormous and ancient rotting trees that tower all around you. You are bathed in the thin blue light of Rilla's Aunt Arafin as she spins some magical torches around all of you. And also in attendance is your enormous fucking snake and the Stricken, who you have dragged into this meeting as well. The Stricken looks at Arafin and at you, Zurabak, and says, well, a lovely moonlight gathering of powerful spellcasters in an ancient elven wood. To what do I owe the pleasure of this meeting?
Zurabak shrugs.
You're gonna make me do it. You're gonna make me talk to my fucking self.
Sure
Here we
is.
go. Arafin says, well, believe me, this is not what I had hoped for. I admit that in a moment of weakness and desperation, I worked with those who claimed to be in your cult, Stricken. I worked with those in the Badlands. I worked with that terrible monk, Varix. But after speaking to Rilla and meeting all of you, I thought better of it. A long time ago, when we spoke that night in the Badlands, I told you that I had a plan. An ambitious one that has now become almost impossible. I had planned, in order to keep the wood safe from the very blight that now infects it, I would drive all of the forest into the plane of shadow, one of the many planes of existence layered on top of ours. There it would be secluded from the rest of the terrible dangers here and the material plane. There we could have been safe. Given that this terrible blight from the Badlands has encroached in to the forest, the veil that once kept this place safe is failing, and more than that, is now corrupting. There's chaos and wild magic. The arcane forces here are in a spiraling chaos. If I were to attempt something like that, with the last few shreds of magical energy I have left at my disposal. I don't know what could happen. It would be catastrophic. But I've done a bit of scouting. I think I have a way to use my plan to save what's left of this forest and ensure that you and your followers get what you need as well. The Stricken says, I am certainly intrigued, though while I am more than happy to share my power, it would behoove us to loop in the rest of the protagonists into this conversation. Don't you agree? I hate explaining myself more than once, and all of the children traipsing around with my niece will certainly have a role to play in this plan. Where are they, Druid? Where is my niece?
Zurabak shrugs. Cat's over there. He points where the cat was.
You point after Rutherford, Rilla's familiar, who, is sort of just traipsing around out there in the forest and sees you point at it and looks at you all with far too intelligent eyes for a cat, and then turns full of dignity, tail upraised, and stalks slowly at an ambling pace through the forest back towards the elven camp. Arafin says, always trust a familiar. None more loyal, none more cunning. And she, snickers to herself as she wanders off after the cat. The Stricken says, torn from my comfortable seat by the fireside by an enormous serpent, and now chasing after a cat. My life is a menagerie. How could I allow myself to fall so far?
Well, that person in charge of your cult, probably their fault. Blame it on them.
The Stricken looks at you, Zurabak, and says,
Stealing Zurabak's line.
And, Arafin and the Stricken traipse after Rutherford back towards the elven camp, where, at this very moment... Oh, I'm sorry. Zurabak, do you follow them?
Probably.
Fantastic.
He's got nothing else to do.
Nothing else to do. Am I right? So you all slowly traipse back to camp, where at this very moment, Dara is making her way out of the border of this magical cloaking spell that the Stricken placed over all of you. She is making her way out of this shadowy cube, hiding you from the eyes and ears of all the other elves in this camp. What are y'all doing?
I'm grabbing her immediately.
Okay.
I mean, what's the harm?
Not letting a child murder someone? I don't know. That seems like not the best plan. I don't know what we're doing yet, but we probably need to figure that out first.
You put your hand on Dara's shoulder, and she stops and looks back at you and says, Rilla, I don't know what you want. You want me to not get murdered and martyred for the people? Great, that's fine. Now you want me to not kill Elder Willow for torturing you and lying to me? I'm getting a little confused. I'm getting mixed signals. I got all this lightning and no one to put it in. What do you want me to do?
Dara, first of all, I called dibs already, all right? One.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize you had dibs on murder, Rilla. I didn't realize we were calling dibs on murder.
I mean...
Well, we are.
Shit.
She is a protagonist. And, honestly, Dara, all that lightning...
She throws her hand in your direction and she fires a lightning bolt at you. I'm going to need you to roll me a reflex saving throw.
Well, I don't even try to move. Because
You don't.
That badly, huh?
I rolled a 1 on the dice, so yeah, I just take it like a champ.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you look around and you realize that you're in like the middle of a fairly crowded camp, like with this cube around you. You all had to kind of sit in a pretty tight huddle. There's like a campfire and a tea kettle and like tent stakes all around you. You look around and you realize you can't fucking go anywhere. So you're just like, I'm just gonna take it. How bad could it
I stick
be?
out my protagonist badge, my breast pin, and just thrust forward.
You rolled a 1.
I rolled
you
a
tried
1.
to do that.
So I
you get
take
in the
it
face,
like
I
a
think.
champ, narratively on my breast.
You're gonna take 21 points of damage as a lightning bolt streaks from the hand of this young elven girl and arcs directly into the center of your chest. Your hair stands up on end for a second. There's this enormous flash of light, this deafening crack of thunder, and you feel every nerve ending in your body tingle as this lightning passes through you in one terrifying, agonizing instant. And as smoke curls from your singed chest hairs, Dara, as the smoke clears your vision, Ruger, you see Dara's actually like incredibly angry, like scary angry. She is, her face is flushed. There's like lightning and sparks like crackling off the corners of her eyes. Her hands are writhing with electricity arcing between her fingers, and she's like heaving these big heavy breaths. She looks almost like a child in the throes of a tantrum. And she says, "Is that a little lightning?"
Really cracks up hard.
Say yes. Say yes. Just a little.
All right. So I pull myself together, dust myself off, straighten my hat, and I look at her and say, "All right, little one. I guess you are more capable than you appear. With that being said, can you ease off jumping to killing people? Why is it always life and death with you two? Why can we not just talk about it?"
Dara takes a second. She's still like heaving these giant breaths, and she is like, she reminds you a little bit of like Hektor in like a barbarian rage. Like she looks like she is honestly lost control of herself for a second, but slowly she catches herself. Her breathing becomes more normal. She unhunches her shoulders and says, I'm so sorry. Oh, by the gods, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure all this out, and sometimes it just comes out when I'm angry or when I apologize, sir. Are you
Dara,
okay?
Dara, I had it coming. I've been traveling with your sister for a long time. I should know better than to piss off a long shadow.
That was amazing. So proud.
Now don't gas her up, Rilla. Come on.
You're lucky she doesn't like fireballs like me, man.
Easy.
Now, luckily, because of the spell that you're all still inside of, none of that light or sound actually escaped the cube. So you're still in this like shadowy, opaque cube. But she says, "Okay, so I can't kill him. What do we do? As soon as we get out of here, they're going to see your Rilla, and some shit's going to go down. What's the plan?"
I mean, I think that Elder Willow, he may not know it yet, but he is no longer in charge of these people. And I think that these people will need leadership because some of them seem like perfectly lovely folk, but they are sheep, to put it as kindly as I can. They are sheep and they need a shepherd.
At least they aren't goats.
And I can think of no better leadership for these people than the esteemed Long Shadow sisters.
Dara gives you a side eye, Rilla, and raises an eyebrow like, huh?
I mean, maybe that could work. Like, we don't really know them. I didn't really recognize people from, like, our tribe, but...
I know them, Rilla. I know them.
Okay.
These sheep, these sheep muscles are tired and starving and dehydrated. They're meditating 1 or 2 hours a night. They have seen their loved ones and their neighbors and elves from other villages be ripped apart by the forest they grew up in. So, yes, they are looking for leadership, but let's, cool it.
I don't know if we need to keep sticking with leadership either, honestly. What they need is a community, and we can't make one here anymore. So, let's get them out of here and lead them out, but I think we could do with a break from having one speak for all.
I'm asking you what we're gonna do right fucking now. What
Dude,
are we doing?
I can be a human again. It's not that big of a deal if we don't want to make a decision right this second. This wasn't hard. I did it drunk, okay?
I'm not gonna pretend that fucker is still the boss of me. Not gonna do it. Not after you told me he fucking tortured you.
Alright, fair enough.
I think we just march out there and we assert the way things are now, which is that Elder Willow is no longer in charge, and that the Long Shadow Sisters will lead the elves to safety.
Here's my input. I think we've found consensus on several points. We need to get this flower, and we need to get these people out of this forest. Everything else is secondary. Now, as it turns out, there's a horde of fucking zombies between us and the heart tree. So maybe we don't drag all these elves into that horror show. This forest is clearly inhabited by nothing but things that want to kill everything else. The blight is spreading quickly, and anything it touches, it corrupts. I don't think it's worth anyone's time to keep these elves here longer than they need be. We need to get them out of this forest, and we need to get to that heart tree and get that fucking flower.
I'm with you on that in concept. I don't know if we can, send them back without...
No, there's safety in numbers. I don't think, as nice of an idea as it is to try and make them leave now, I don't think that will end well for them, especially with Dara saying they're so exhausted. We can help protect them. Also, I mean, poor Cole is missing a foot.
Yeah, I'm not doing too great over here, y'all. So I didn't want to butt in, but this runner's not running anywhere. So
I pass him my flask of whiskey.
He drinks all of it.
Oh,
he just drinks all of it.
It's a fucking hey.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2 legs. Is this too much? My bad.
By my count, you got one more than I do, so who's taking advantage of the situation now, Cole?
He throws the flask at you.
I take it in the chest like a champ, and take 18 points of damage or whatever bullshit you...
Collapse to the
I
ground,
actually
dead.
die before we ever get to the zombies, because I won't stop running my mouth.
Dara taps her foot and crosses her arms. Are we going? Are we not going? Are we going? Come on.
Yeah, let's just go
I don't know that we necessarily need to be hey, we're in charge now. That feels really fucking stupid, and I don't know if that's just...
I mean, we are, though.
It's just, hey, we're still doing the same thing, but she's not dying, because fuck you all. She's a kid, and we're gonna get all of you out of the forest. That's our offer.
Yeah, so that's taking leadership, and just establishing that Elder Willow is not in charge.
Which he is.
Those are the 2 things, is saying things that will put everyone's mind at ease and let them know that they are still in good hands, but those hands are not Elder Willow's bony piece of shit hands.
Dara steps out of the box you're in and
Initiative!
starts shouting things that you can't hear.
I step out right after her.
Okay.
I also follow as well.
The moment they step out, I immediately, bend over, and start to, oh God, that hurts you. Oh, the Hektor, I'm dying here.
You grab your
I'm
chest.
oh God, the pain. And then I fucking follow.
Yeah, you all step out after Dara, and you slip out of this shimmering cube of energy, and you hear Dara shout, "Warriors of the Springvale Forest, take heed, for there is much that must be said." And all around these tiny elven tents and cook fires, a shambling and groaning and exhausted company of 20 elves that have been walking alongside you through this horrid forest, sort of form up and make a ragged group in front of you. Their faces thin and pale in the flickering firelight of the cook fires, and you see in the back Elder Willow's tent flap flies open, and he stalks out, hands on hips, staring out over this grouping. And Dara says, "I am not the martyr you seek. My blood is not the answer to the salvation of our people, and neither is my sister's." And she waves an arm in your direction, Rilla. And as soon as everyone sees your face, a couple of the people that you recognize, like specifically from Greenleaf, their eyes go wide with shock, they gasp, and there's general mumbling in this crowd of people as they try to figure out what the fuck that all means. And Elder Willow in the back goes, "I knew it! Oh, I knew it the whole time! So, the false martyr returns, does she? The exile, she who abandoned her people to this grim fate! You dare return and show your face? You corrupt the savior of our people! What madness is this?"
God, I want to
stalks forward and
Hang on.
he stalks forward and starts like parting his way through the crowd with his shrieking.
Hector cuts him off as he's like moving forward, just steps in front of him, and in a very quiet but menacing tone, just says, "The young lady is not done speaking."
Roll me an intimidation check.
20, not nat.
That's pretty high, Brian. I'm gonna roll to save against that.
That wasn't just a dirty 20. It's a filthy 20. Sorry.
I got a 15. So he fails. He visibly quails as your massive, muscly frame towers over him. He like physically recoils. His shoulders hunch up like he's protecting his neck, and he raises his hands up in front of his chest and like visibly cowers. And every elf around you, seeing this exchange happens, there's a tension in the air that's like nearly palpable. Dara says, "My sister, Rilla Longshadow, has returned, and we have dark tidings, but hopeful tidings for the elves of the Springvale Forest. Tell these people what's happening." She turns to you all.
The forest is essentially done for. But Elder Willow has been feeding you a lot of lies. You won't die if you leave the forest. There are elves in the greater world. We can leave. We can find somewhere else for you to live. There's a city, a bard's college. There's safety there, and even other elves. We require a specific component from the martyr's tree that we must get, but once we have that, our plan is to leave and take as many of you as are willing to follow us. I swear by my blood, you will not die in the greater world. I didn't. My aunt didn't. It's different, but there's nothing inherently wrong or dangerous out there. Besides, that isn't here as well. Sacrificing one of us won't change what's happening. As much as Elder Willow might think so, he's a coward and a fool. And he always prefers to put others in places of harm rather than himself. I'm not going to let him murder my sister. She's a child, and I'm deeply disappointed that all of you are willing to sacrifice a literal child.
Well, she is 93.
We're elves. She's a kid.
I'm kidding. I didn't actually say anything. I'm looking back on like fucking Hektor.
No,
like,
you said that under your breath because you hate elves and
true,
you
do deeply hate elves.
They're like, let's send like the freshmen in high school to die for our sins. Like, it's fucked up.
Hey, it worked for Joan of Arc, okay?
Wow, that's a great reference.
Did it?
And also did it.
So, upon hearing this, all the elves are like rocked. There's like, they are shocked. They can't really believe what they're hearing, but they go silent pretty quickly and all look like they're mulling it over. And then Thorival, the elf that you have been speaking with, that Hektor in particular has been making an effort to speak to, he pipes up and says, "Listen, brothers and sisters, this is not the way. We've been through so much. More death, more pain can't be the way forward. We have to get the fuck out of here, and we gotta get away from that crazy old fuck. I mean, come on, this is nuts, man. We're killing kids and shit. This sucks. We gotta... Listen to the Long Shadows, man. They know what the fuck they're talking about. This is bullshit." And all the other elves like, "Yeah, man, that's fucking... I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's a good point, man. Good shit." Yeah, all of the elves seem to be reaching consensus. Elder Willow is fucking furious. He is completely flabbergasted. He looks all around him and says, "You would topple the ancient ways of the elves in one foul swoop. Not only do you steal our only hope for salvation, but you turn these elves against their elder. The elven people have always followed the elders of the clan. Who else could possibly stand in this role? You're too young, you're not but children."
They're hundreds of years old!
It is just then that at the edge of the firelight, a withered ancient elf, even older than Elder Willow, in flowing robes with silver hair and a deeply creased face, says, "Has my little sarsaparilla gotten herself into another pinch?" And Rilla, you turn to see your Aunt Arafin on the edge of the camp. She is standing next to the stricken Anthony Geist. She is following behind your familiar Rutherford, who bounds up to you and climbs up on your shoulders the second he sees you. And Zurabak is ambling up behind them. Arafin says, "If an elder is what is needed to lead these elves, then I will gladly take that role. Willow, I have had problems with your style of leadership for quite a long time. And though I never wanted to be pinned down to this role, it is obvious from your actions that you have gone mad. By the ancient rites of the elven blood, I cast you down from your role as elder, and I hereby take your place." And she walks up to Elder Willow, sort of sidling past Hektor's giant form as he's still like looming over him, scaring the shit out of him. And she reaches up a hand to Willow's chest. Now, Willow's wearing these flowing green robes that look like a bunch of green leaves stitched together, and she places her hand on his chest. and there is one leaf there that she actually grabs and slips easily from the massive robes. It's right over his chest, and this is actually bound by a thin silver chain to Elder Willow's neck, and she pulls it off, whips the chain from over his head, and places it over her own. And this green leaf lays flat against her chest, and as it lays against her robes, it flashes this verdant green, and the robes she's wearing in these muted tones turn into an exact copy of the ones that Elder Willow was wearing. They turn into this beautiful flowing green garment that looks like it's made of leaves stitched together. I am Erefin the Arcane, and I hereby proclaim myself Elder of the remnants of Green Leaf. Willow, you are a shame to the elven people. Your madness has nearly caused the death of all those in your charge. Nieces, forgive me. It has been so long since I've seen the two of you together. What shall we do with our disgraced elder?
So I have an idea for bestow curse. I was looking at like examples of things you could do other than the basics, and one suggestion was rendering a specific race invisible to the person. I kind of like the idea of Elder Willow never seeing another elf ever again, because he can't.
Damn, that's cold as fuck.
That's fucking...
Holy fucking shit. Yeah.
He's just alone forever, even when he's surrounded. There could be elves everywhere, and he would never know.
Yeah.
Forced exile, basically.
Yep. That's the most badass fucking thing I've ever heard. So we're gonna do that for sure.
It's kind of DM's discretion for a bestow curse. It just has to be in line with like a -6 decrease to an ability score, like a hefty negative in some way or the other.
For sure.
And narratively, that's just juicy.
Yeah. Do you approach Elder Willow and place your hand upon him to bestow this curse?
Absolutely. I walk towards him without saying a word. Not a word. I hold Dara's hand and I bring her forward with me. And I get like right down in his eyes, because I'm just assuming he's shrinking down even if he's taller than me.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, he is a twisted old man, and Hektor is still like Hector's like 1.5 feet taller than this dude, and Hektor is like literally like looming over him like a skyscraper. The dude's like in Hector's shadow. He is terrified, and as you approach, he tries to shrink back even farther. Erefin steps aside so you can get to him, and the
Hektor
elven
also
warriors.
steps aside.
What's up?
I was just gonna say Hektor also steps aside and just nudges him slightly in your direction.
Yeah, the elven warriors around him form a rank and file, a wall of flesh, keeping him in place as he tries to scamper away from you.
And Rilla like pulls up her sleeves to show her like horrific scars. And she says, take a really good long look around you, because you're never, ever going to see another elf. And then she just touches him on the forehead and bestows a curse.
An interesting thing happens when you cast this spell. As the firelight reflects off of the puckered scars left over from all of the scalpels and syringes that pierced your flesh in all those years of experimentation, you see unrivaled terror dancing in the eyes of Elder Willow. Tears are welling and running down his face. He is shivering top to bottom, and you raise your arm and start to channel the magic of this spell that you've only recently learned and never cast before. And a well of rage and pain rises up within you that you've probably tried to fight down your entire life as responsibility forced you to keep it in check, and every memory attached to every one of those scars flashes through your mind in quick succession as you relive every moment of torment, further fueling this rage and pain, and a wave of black energy ripples out from your eyes and wells up in your arm, running down the length of it, cascading into two outstretched fingers that you place on his forehead, and his flesh burns as you place your fingers on his head. Tiny bits of smoke curl up, and the sound of sizzling meat crackles in your ears as you press against his forehead. And just for a second before the curse takes hold, Elder Willow's frail, shivering, and terrified demeanor breaks, and he looks at you with raw hatred and malice in his eyes, and he says, "You foolish child! I swear by all the ancient gods, by the blood of our ancestors, I'll have vengeance! I'll not have a child place this curse on me! I swear by the blood!" And then this curse takes hold of him. He blinks his eyes once and twice. He shudders top to bottom as this wave of black energy enters him. He gasps deeply, his back arching, and then he looks up and looks all around, and he is completely dumbfounded, absolutely confused. And he looks at you, Hektor, and you, Ruger, and he says, "What's happened? What's she done? Where have they all gone? Humans, what has happened? Where are they?" And he starts waving his arms around. "Where has she taken them? She's stolen my people!" All the elves, elven warriors just back up immediately to give him space, and he starts feeling around, like tumbling over things, just screaming, "I swear I'll skin her alive! Oh, I'll kill her like I should have when she was a child! I knew when I killed her parents I should have killed her too!"
Oh! Oh, fuck! Rilla, like, gasps and turns to Dara at that shit.
Hektor punches him in the face to shut him up.
Yeah, just as this last frenzied bit of information comes out of his mouth, Hektor punches him right in the face, and this dude's head goes like 360. He spins in the air off of his feet and lands face down with a horrid thud into the grass and is still. You can tell he's breathing, but he is still. And Dara says, "What the fuck did he just say?" And Arafin says, "What the fuck did he just say?"
Holy shit, I knew it was evil, but I didn't think you did that. Oh my god.
Arafin looks at you, Rilla, and at Dara and says, "Well, I don't know if what he said is true, but as much as it boils my blood, we have other matters to discuss. I thank you, Gatekeeper, for putting him down so efficiently. If you warriors will see to it that he is bound and gagged, He will face justice as he should. I have matters to discuss with the protagonists. Know that a true elder watches over you. One that does not see you as disposable. One that is not bent on self-destruction and ancient superstitions. I will see you through this. These protagonists will see you through this. But for now, take this disgusting thing and get what rest you can. We will march in the morning. And all of these elves look like fucking emotionally exhausted. Like, these 20 elven warriors have no fucking idea what they've just seen and heard. And Thorvald's like, oh man, you want me to sleep after all that shit? Oh man, I don't think that's gonna happen. Oh jeez, shit. Okay, wrap them up, guys. Let's fucking go, I guess. Oh, fuck, man. What is happening? And they all wander off. Erfin says, so, that was terrible. A fitting end to a villain. I suppose we'll have to unpack that at a later date. As for now, a terrible task lies before us. I have a plan for how we can not only secure for you and your quest a death's head orchid from under the boughs of the martyr's tree, but how we might stop this spread of the blight of the Badlands, save what remains of the forest, and keep the island from being cut in half by this chaotic magical scourge.
Yes, let's do that.
I'm sold. And it's just gonna be like, okay, so now we're gonna sacrifice my nieces.
As it turns out, Rilla, your blood is the key.
Not mine, though. Mine's too old.
It was a double sacrifice. That's what we needed.
Yes, both your blood. 2 children.
Double or nothing.
Oh, shit. Erfin says, there is much to say about the current state of affairs here in the forest. I will try to explain the principles here as simply as I can. The Badlands, which you have all ventured through, which I have made quite a bit of study of, represents not only a scar on the landscape left over by horrific magics cast in ages past, it is an unraveling of the very tapestry itself. The fabric of reality, the world we live in, is coming unspooled in the Badlands. It is not only a blight upon the land, but it is hungry. It seeks more magic to feed its insatiable hunger. And the Springvale Forest represents the most powerful spell ever cast on this island. The ancestral elves wove the veil over this forest to keep it safe from outsiders. Its power is immense, and it cost the lives of dozens of powerful spellcasters who used their blood and their souls to bind this spell to the forest forever. The linchpin of this spell, its focus, its keystone, is the martyr's tree, named so because of the elven ancestors who gave their lives to bring this spell into fruition. Now, the blight we see in the forest now is the Badlands devouring traces and scraps of the veil that lays upon the forest. But if this chaotic energy reaches the martyr's tree itself, if it reaches this keystone of this powerful spell, all of the forest will fall in an instant. This blight will spread to every branch of every tree in all of the Spring Vale. We must keep this from happening at any cost, which means protagonists that we must destroy the martyr's tree and end the veil before it can be corrupted completely. Do you understand?
Is it gonna fight back?
God damn, that's a good question. We fought a tree like 3 episodes ago, so.
My dear niece, the forest is already fighting back. I did some scouting in the past few days. I laid eyes upon the crimson boughs of the martyr's tree myself, and there is a horde of dead elves risen from the grave. The guardians of the tree are numerous. They are not alive and not fully dead, and they have ancient elven magics running through them, every one. If we wish to reach the martyr's tree, we shall have to cut a swath through them, or somehow get around them. But that will not be enough. At the rate this blight is spreading, I fear that even were we to march on the morn, we would not be able to stop the blight from reaching the tree, not in the time it would take to destroy it. Long ago, I had a plan to sink the entire forest into the plane of shadow to protect it from the dangers of this world. Rilla talked me out of this plan, but there is still some wisdom there. I can, on a much smaller scale, send a much smaller piece of this forest to the plane of shadow. The martyr's tree itself. The wild magic tearing through our forest will keep me from shunting it to this other plane for very long. But I can keep it from being corrupted long enough for it to be destroyed. But there lies a problem, a sick irony, as can only befall an ancient civilization. The tree can only be destroyed by those of elven blood. Rilla, Dara, you must destroy the martyr's tree. You must destroy the veil itself. You must destroy the spell protecting this forest in order to save what's left of it.
All right, well, that's really heavy, but how are we gonna do that? Like, fireball it? Like,
Dara says, lightning bolts? I got plenty of those.
I'm just fucking shaking my head in the background.
The martyr's tree is a powerful magical anchor. Simply damaging it will not be enough. Its guardian spirit must be vanquished. The spirits of the ancestors that reside within this tree must be confronted and dispatched. Only then can the martyr's tree itself be destroyed. And only the blood of the elves can summon that spirit. In summation, we must fight our way to the martyr's tree, where I will remove it from this plane of existence, along with what warriors will be brave enough to attempt this feat. And then Rilla and Dara, you must call out the ancestral spirit within, destroy it, and then destroy the tree itself before you are all brought back to this plane of existence. That is the only way I can see to move forward, and it will take every scrap of magic I have left at my disposal, along with the powers of your employer. The stricken says, "Oh, I rather like this plan. It's incredibly dramatic."
Of fucking course you do.
What say you all?
I look at Hektor, and I say, don't forget your promise. I think this is my card.
No harm will befall your sister. This I vow.
I don't say anything else. Like, Rilla just, like, confirms that and doesn't say shit otherwise. Just, like, nods and looks at the ground. Like, that's it.
Dara looks at you, Rilla, and then looks at Hector and says, I'm standing, like, right here. Like, I can take care of myself, obviously. You saw the lightning.
I felt it. She can take care of herself.
Well, there is much the stricken and I have to speak of in order to make this happen. I suggest you all get what sleep you can, for tomorrow we face the ancestors of the elves in all their rotted horror. And she walks off to converse with the stricken. And they put their heads together and speak in hushed tones.
A match made in hell.
What do y'all do?
What of the rest of these people? Are they going to fight alongside us? Because I fear that is death for all of them.
Dara says, listen, I know that these people are terrified and tired, but, I mean, Aunt Arafin's a way better elder than Willow. And honestly, I think most of these fuckers are going to be pretty eager to lay down some cover fire. If we're running into a horde of undead, I can't think of anything better to have than a bunch of pissed off elves with bows in the trees around us fighting for their home. I say we bring them with us.
Yep, I agree. Rilla, before we retire to wherever we're going, is going to use all of her 0 levels. I have, I think 8 of them at this point. No, I have 6. But I'm going to go, cast Mending on weapons for the elves. Just fixing some of the most broken shit for tomorrow. I don't have a lot of useful spells to burn through, but that seems like it could help. So
very cool. Yeah, you do an impromptu inspection, wandering through the camps and cook fires of these elven warriors and laying your hands upon bowstrings and knife blades and bits of chainmail and fixing what you can as you go. The elves mumble a little bit and get quiet as you approach. They look at you a little reserved, but you do hear a word whispered amongst these elves. You hear them mumbling, "The returned." Anybody else got anything? Alrighty. Then, with a tentative plan in place, with leadership changed, with plots undone and curses lain, that is where we will end. Hello and welcome to As the Dice Turns, the podcast after the podcast, where we take a deep dive into our player characters' motivations, characterizations, frustrations, and try to get a better understanding of them as people. In this part of the show, we like to ask each of our protagonists a question and see if we can't unearth some deeper truth about them. The question for today was sent in by a friend of the show and, just all-around stand-up guy, Chris. Thanks, Chris, for sending in this question.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
If you would like to send a question to As the Dice Turns, you can email us at challengerating0. That's challenge rating ZER, the letter O, at gmail.com. And any questions we receive will be read on air. The question for today is, if you were a candle, what scent would you be? If you were a candle, what scent would you be? For this driving question that digs at the deepest roots of our player characters, we're going to start today with Hektor the Gatekeeper, Keeper of the Gates. Welcome back to the studio, sir. How are you today?
Hektor comes rolling in on a tricycle,
new wheels there, bud?
Yeah, I just feel like I haven't quite found my calling yet.
It's been a lot of
So I'm just
experimentation, that's for sure.
That's what life's about, man. Just figuring it out.
Now, do you think you're going to be able to take the tricycle on the enormous half pipe or the rest of the skate park that's being constructed in the studio?
I did try that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where this scrape on my knee, and this scrape on my other knee, and this scrape on my elbow, and the shoulder dislocation came from.
Yeah, are your ears bleeding?
They do that sometimes.
Okay, great. Yeah, for
when
sure.
when you roll hard, there's gonna be some bumps and bruises along the way.
Gatekeepers don't believe in pads, I'm guessing. Or helmets?
I don't know what those are.
Excellent. Well, perish the thought then. Hector, we've got a very hard-hitting question for you today, one that I'm delighted to bring up. Hector, the question for today is, if you were a candle, what scent would you be?
I was a candle.
Mm-hmm.
I would think maybe something like an applewood. Something hearty, something earthy, but with some sweet notes to it.
Well, that is interesting. I think that's a fairly accurate portrayal of you as a person, for sure. Applewood. That always makes me think of bacon. I guess I'm a little biased. But yeah, nice. See, because here I was thinking like pine, nice coniferous, little bit of sap in there, like the trees on the mountain. But again, this is not for me to say. Obviously, this is your journey and your truth.
I think pine would be solid as well. I think it's a little, to me, it's a little sharp of a scent.
Think that's fair.
I'm kind of thinking of something more even.
Gotcha. Okay. So a nice applewood scented candle. That's the Hector the Gatekeeper candle.
Yeah, I think those should be coming out in a store near you sometime soon.
Absolutely. The Gatekeeper clan cannot ever resist a nice bit of merchandising. Let it never be said. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Hector. It's a great answer. A lovely scent to imagine. For those of you listening at home, if you just want to flick your smell-o-visors to on, you'll get that wafting at you directly through the speakers on your smartphone or device, whatever device you're listening to. Just flick that smell-o-visor on, and that should be coming through right now. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much, Hector. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And Hector trikes out of the room.
All right, next up we got Rilla Longshadow, Sorceress Supreme of the Springvale Forest. Rilla the Returned, Rilla of 1,000 Faces. Rilla, how are you today?
I am doing wonderful, host. I mean, I have a circus full of artists on wheels, not to mention all the cats. I think we're ready for this fight. This skate off. I think it's time for the competition. At this point, it really just feels like we're letting them have more practice time to fail.
Sure.
I think it's time for the skate off for the rink.
Okay.
Which will be mine.
So you're just doubling down. So you're just pot committed to this showdown that's been brewing between the skateboarders and the rollerbladers in my studio. And you,
look,
when you're...
I started off the skateboarders,
Sure.
and then the old people got into it, okay?
Sure.
We need to stop this.
Right.
And the way to do that is to kick their asses.
And so if I was to be the voice of reason and remind you that you have an army of cats and now circus performers on rollerblades, and that's your gang, and you want to go to war against the skateboarders, which is literally Zurabak's companion Snake and his animals. So really what you're talking about...
And Ruger.
Sure. Really what you're talking about is having a giant war between rollerblading cats and skateboarding swamp creatures. It's really what we're talking about?
Yeah, it sounds good.
God, how fucking whimsical. I can't wait for the quote skate off that will once again end with my fucking studio being ruined and probably my pants being lost. Anyway,
Yeah, we should really buy you a belt, shouldn't we?
hell, Rilla, buy me two, because there's two armies in my studio that want to do war. So, cool. Anyway, we've got an important question today. The question is, if you were a candle, what scent would you be?
That's a really interesting question for a shapeshifter, right? Because I could be any candle. That's kind of the thing about me as a person. You know?
We're going to make that a t-shirt. I could be any candle.
Yeah, you know, so if that's the case, we're really talking about like what's the thread that would connect all these many different scents. So it's probably something subtle and simple, right? So that makes me think, it's tough. I feel like am I citrusy or am I just straight up vanilla that's been flavored in many different ways, you know?
I mean, Rilla, we can think outside the box on this. There's nothing saying that you can't be a multi-layered candle with the cavalcade of scents that come one after the other as the wick burns down. Don't limit yourself, you know.
That sounds disgusting, host. I think what I like is the simplicity of like if you're looking at the core of Rilla, kind of thinking lemon, just a plain old, fresh, clean, slightly foresty, but not too deep into the woods. You know, a scent that can combine with many other scents, 'cause yeah, I'm a changeable sort of person. Yeah.
It seems like what I'm
Yes.
getting from this is the sense that you almost see yourself as a blank canvas.
Yeah. For sure.
That's interesting.
For one thing, I'm aware of my youth. I don't know who I'm going to end up being,
Sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And with my natural inclination towards changing, I think that at core I am many things / all things, right? So I think it just needs to be a simple scent that can go with anything. So yeah, let's go with lemon.
Alrighty.
It's hard to mess that up by blending it.
If Rilla Longshadow was a candle, it should be lemon fresh, lemon. A lovely citrus scent that goes well with any occasion. Understood? That makes a lot of sense. Well said, Rilla. Well said. Thank you very much for your candor. We appreciate it. And if you could get your army of rollerblading freaks out of my fucking studio for even a second, oh man, I just really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's fine. We can go practice some tricks outside.
That'd be great.
They're getting a little too comfortable in here anyway. They need a little more rest.
Yeah, you gotta take it back
That's how
to
you get
gotta take it
daring.
back to the streets, not like these fucking posers, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. Let's go, gang. And Rilla skates out of the room backwards.
Yeah, nar brah, or whatever the fuck. Oh my god, the damage to my studio. Fuck. Sharon! Is that another half pipe? That's a full pipe, Sharon! What the fuck? Oh my god. Alright, next up we've got Ruger Firehide, Lawman Extraordinaire. Ruger, how are you today?
Ruger rolls up on his signature longboard. However, today he is wearing a construction hat, a hard hat, and has a sledgehammer across his shoulders. Howdy there, host. I am doing mighty fine today, mighty fine indeed. But host, I must be honest.
Uh-huh.
I come bearing a message.
Great.
Lord Snick has decreed that his kingdom of Nar is too small. Tiny indeed. So,
Okay.
I'm here to knock out your south wall and expand the skate park. I just figured you should know.
Okay, now Ruger, I have to stop you there. The south wall is where all of my recording equipment is set. That my fucking mixing board is on the south wall. I'm sitting
Yeah. No,
in front of the south wall right
actually,
now.
fun fact, I know a thing or two about construction, and I warned Lord Snick that south wall is actually a load-bearing wall, but
Yeah.
the Lord has decreed, and therefore I must obey. So that wall's coming down, buddy. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. And it doesn't bother you that we won't be able to do this fucking show anymore if you're quote Lord, which is its own fucking thing. got me swearing. You know what? Fine. I tell you what. Fine. You know what? I literally can't stop you anyway. How about just for fun, just for shits and giggles, you answer this question before you ruin my livelihood? How about that?
Seems like a fair trade-off.
Great. The question for today, Ruger Firehide, is if you were a candle, what scent would you be?
Well, host, that is an excellent question. Surely you didn't come up with this question yourself.
No, this is from friend of the show, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
For sending in this question.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious the quality of this question is far superior to what you normally bring to the table.
We get it! Sharon, did you get it? Yeah, Sharon's nodding. We get it.
How can you tell? She has a head. Anyways, listen, host, and Chris, I have a perfect answer to this question. If Ruger Firehide were to be encapsulated into candle form, there could only be one candle he could take.
What's that?
Bonfire.
Now, Ruger, I have to say, when I was thinking of what your answer might be for this question, that is the first thing I alighted on. I don't want to pigeonhole you, but I gotta say, I think that's perfect. Would you like to clue me in as to your justifications for this?
Well, sure. I think fire has always been a theme in my life. It's defined my existence and continues to define my path moving forward. So the scent speaks to both my past and to my future. And goddamn it, host, it just smells good.
Well, I certainly can't argue with any of that. Yeah, a nice smoky scent reminding you of the life on the trail or being out roughing it in the wilderness. I think that perfectly encapsulates you, Ruger. Thank you very much for that answer. We certainly appreciate it. I tell you what, I guess just knock the fucking wall down, but I tell you what, just for shits and giggles, why don't you let me get to Zurabak first?
Just real quick, between me, you, and the south wall, Lord Snake isn't particularly great with his cardinal directions, so I'll just knock out the west one and we'll call it even.
Oh, thank fucking God. Yeah, that's just the wall to the bathrooms. Who gives a shit if we can see in there? Please do. Please do. Oh, God. I mean, I got the cameras in there anyway, okay. So it doesn't really fucking matter. I didn't say that.
For the love of God, edit that out. All right, host.
You actually can't edit audio, which is a weird thing that I've discovered doing this. But anyway,
explains
thanks.
The quality of your show. Anyways, host, it's been fine, but I have duties to attend to, including demolition. So, until next time, friend.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Ruger. Okay. Last but not least, we have King of the Shocker Lizards, Champion of the Goats, Emperor of the Rats, and Duke of the Isle of Neho, Zurabak the Unburned. Welcome back to the show, Zurabak. How are you?
Yeah, I'm here. You know, he's just smuggling guns in with all that construction gear, right?
I'm sorry. Who is smuggling guns in?
Snake. Or at least some of his followers are. I had to put down a tiger with an Uzi yesterday. It wasn't pretty for him.
You're telling me that your Snake's skateboard army is using the construction of the skate park as a cover to smuggle in weapons?
Yeah, I figure you would have noticed that by now.
Zurabak, can you fucking handle your Snake? Can you stop this shit before it pops off?
He's doing his thing. He'll get around to it.
I can't have a war between skateboarders and rollerbladers in my studio, especially if they're armed to the fucking teeth. What the hell?
What? I thought you had a gun, especially after the last time.
I mean, I had that 22, but after I shot myself in the foot those 3 different times, I figured it'd be best if I just didn't keep it.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
I still don't walk right. Anyway, listen,
You didn't walk right beforehand.
Okay, Zurabak, listen. We got a question today. If you were a candle, what scent would you be?
The coming storm.
Now, okay, now that's interesting. That's got an ominous sort of feel to it. Is this dangerous?
It's a deep, heavy smell, electricity in the air,
Sure.
and you know I'm fucking regal.
Interesting. Okay. So see, because when you said the coming storm, I was thinking like, I don't know, sort of wet, almost earthy,
Yeah, that's in there too. That's the heavy.
Sure. When you say regal, what could that possibly mean when it comes to smells?
I'm very regal. Did you not say all my titles?
I did, Zurabak. I'm trying to figure out how you'd convey regal, like royal status, with stink.
You name the candle Regal Storm. Done. Easy.
So the officially licensed Zurabak candle would be Regal Storm, a deep, comforting smell of an encroaching rainstorm.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But royal as fuck.
Royal as fuck.
Is there a crown on the candle? Because I'm thinking we're going to have to lean a lot on packaging for the regal part.
Yeah. Gold labels and all.
Okay, great. Sort of a filigree situation. Okay, I guess I can get behind that. I gotta
And
say,
we make it cost a lot.
Sure.
Idiots will buy it.
Sure, yeah. We'll say it's limited edition or something. I'm sure that'll get them. Well, Zurabak, I gotta say, considering all the horrific answers you've given me to some of these questions, this was actually like pretty good. It's within the spirit of the question.
It was a higher quality of question. I was honestly shocked myself.
Okay. So the quality of the question brought out this level of comprehensive answer from you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that's...
I guess you're finally coming into your job after, how many years, Sharon? Yeah, that many years. That's a lot of years.
Sharon, stop fucking snitching! I'm sorry, Sharon. I'm sorry. Just don't, snitches get stitches, okay? You know how it is. All right. Well, I guess that goes to show, all you listeners out there, if you want to send in questions that will be read on air, and apparently Zurabak prefers listener questions, so I guess we'll keep an eye out for those in the future. But that's good.
That makes sense why you didn't. Yeah, okay, your quality of work just hasn't gone up. It's still the same. It was someone else doing your material. I understand now.
You're going to have to thank Chris for that one. That's why it's better.
You should probably get a bulletproof vest. You're a very easy target.
Yeah. I'll put that on the list. That's going to do it for us here on As the Dice Turns, the podcast after the podcast. Sharon and I want to thank you for listening to our little show here. And until next time, keep those dice turning. Regal Storm. Hey there, dear listeners. Sam the DM here, checking in with the credits at the end of the show. Challenge Rating 0 was edited by the incomparable Audius Prime, a.k.a. Matt Sims. You can find his work at www.audiusprime.com. Music for Challenge Rating 0 is provided by the harp wolf Danielle Williams. You can find her work at danielletaylorharp.bandcamp.com. She has an album there called Why Are We Surprised When Seasons Change? And you know by now it's a banger. Additional music for the show is provided by Justin Ra. You can find his work at justinra.com, including his album Age of the Spirit. If you want to find us on the socials, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Challenge Rating 0. We're on Twitter at Challenge_0. And if you'd like to email us here at the show, we're at challengerating0@gmail.com. That's challengeratingzer, the letter O, at gmail.com. You can send in questions for As the Dice Turns segment, as our buddy Chris did. And if we, receive your question, we will read it on air. You can support the show by checking out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/CR_0. If you cannot support us fungibly. We totally understand. Tell a friend about the show. Leave us a review. Reviews go a long way. We could use some reviews on some of the more prominent applications like Spotify and things if you're feeling generous with your time. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. We really appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Bye.